Hey friends, it is Miss Liz and I am here today with a super exciting program for you. Today we are going to be doing some Boredom Busters. And the point of today's program is to show you some activities that you can do at home to beat those winter blues when it's cold outside and you don't necessarily want to go. These activities are great to do alone, with a family member in your house, or you can do it with a friend over Zoom. Whatever way you can come together is a way that you can play these games and do these activities. Before we get started, this was a grab and go event. So for anybody that was registered and picked up the grab and go kit from the library, we're gonna go through the supplies that were in there. Or if you're just joining us and you didn't register or you don't have a grab and go kit, I'm gonna show you the items so that you can grab them and play along at home. They are simple everyday items that you can find around your house. So I hope that this list is helpful and you are ready to get your boredom busted. So if you are registered, grab those grab and go bags, and if you're not, feel free to go on a scavenger hunt around your house to get these items. And once you have them, we will come back and we can do all the activities together. So let's go. So the first item that you will find in your grab and go bag, or if you're finding them around your house, is going to be plastic cups. You're going to want a nice stack of them, around 21 cups for our first activity. They can be any size, any shape, as long as they're all the same, they will work. We're gonna be building a tower out of them, so they just have to be able to be built with. So again, if you have a grab and go bag, these cups are included, or if you're doing it at home, find some plastic cups to use. The next thing in your grab and go bag, or what you're gonna wanna find at home, is a pom-pom. It should be a decent size that fits in the palm of your hand. If you don't have any pom-poms at home and you don't have a grab and go kit, you can use something like a cotton ball, or a bouncy ball, or anything like that. It just has to be a round shape that will roll, and that's a decent size. The next thing you're gonna wanna grab from your grab and go bag or at home is a ping pong ball. It has to be something that can bounce, like this. So it could be a bouncy ball, it could be a ping pong ball, but anything that will have some bounce to it, you can use at home. Be forewarned, this is gonna be used during an activity that is going to involve it coming towards our head, so it should be something that's not going to hurt in case it hits you, because it will happen. Just be forewarned, it's okay. So just make sure that it bounces and it's okay and it's not too heavy or hard. The next things you're going to want are some balloons, preferably 3 of them. If you have less at home, that's okay. You can use 2, you can use 1. This activity will be easy to modify once you see what we're doing, but you're gonna need some balloons. If you really don't have balloons at home and you wanna do these games along with us, and you don't have a grab and go kit, you can also use something like a beach ball or a volleyball. Anything that you can hit in the air and keep up for an extended period of time will work for this activity. So feel free to substitute it with whatever you have. Next up, you're going to have 2 straws in your grab and go kit, or grab 2 straws from home. They could be paper, they could be plastic, they could be metal. They could be the silicone smoothie straws, whatever you got will work. It's just to do an activity. So just grab those. You really need 1 in your grab and go kit. I gave you 2 just in case one breaks. You lose one, you drop it on the floor like I keep doing. You just had an extra just in case you needed it, or if you were doing it with some family members, they had a straw to use as well. Next up, you're going to need a bowl. So this will be in your grab and go kit, or find a bowl at home. It could be a plastic bowl, styrofoam bowl, anything that you can hold on your head like this is what you're gonna need. So you can use that, you can use a bucket, you can use a pail, just something that can be able to catch something in it. And then lastly, you're going to need 5 paper plates. These should be in your grab and go kit. Again, if you're doing this at home and you don't have a grab and go kit, just grab any 5 paper plates that you have lying around the house. If you don't have paper plates, you can also use pieces of construction paper or cardstock. They just have to be sturdy enough to hold something on them. So feel free to grab whatever you want. They don't need to be a circular shape, that's totally fine. So if you have a cereal box, you can cut it up and use the pieces of a cereal box. Whatever you got, you can use for this one. All right, so now that we've gone through our supply list and you've either gone through your grab and go bag or found what you needed in your own home, it is time to start going through all of the activities that you can do with these things to bust some boredom. So the first boredom buster activity I have for you all to try at home is called the 21 cup stack challenge. What this is you will have 1 minute on the clock to try to stack the cups in a tower. and break it down all in the same minute. So I'm gonna show you an example of it that I'm not gonna time myself so you can see what the tower should look like, and then I'm gonna try the challenge with you. So you're gonna take your cups, and you're gonna have a minute to try to stack them up however you want. Ooh. So this is what your complete tower should look like, and then what you're gonna do when you take it down is you're going to stack them all back in one row like we had them. To complete the Boredom Buster. So again, that one took me a little bit longer than a minute because I wanted to show you all how to stack your towers. So now I'm gonna put a minute on the clock, and we are gonna try to build up these cups and break them down in a minute. Once the timer starts, you can get started with your challenge at home and compete and see if you have what it takes to do this Boredom Buster activity in 1 minute. Full disclosure, I might not be able to do it, so if you can't do it either, that's okay. Guess what? It gives you something to work towards and to practice on. This is all about busting that boredom, so you don't need to be an expert on the first shot. All right, ready? That minute is gonna start now. Time is up. How did you do at home? Like I said, if you got this on the first try, great. Do it again. See if you can beat the score that you had and do it in less time. If you didn't finish it in a whole minute, that's okay too. It gives you something to practice and work on. This is just a fun game that you can do. You can compete against anybody at home if you want to see who can stack it up and break it down the fastest. You could do it over Zoom with some friends, or you can just compete against yourself and create your own personal record. Whatever works for you with this boredom activity is what I want you to try at home. So thank you for joining me for that one, and we are going to get started on our next boredom busting activity. For our next activity, you are gonna grab your bowl, bucket, or object that you're gonna use to put on your head, and you're also gonna grab your ping pong ball. For this activity, your goal is going to be to bounce this off the table and into the bucket on your head. You're going to have a minute to try to get it in there. If you are doing this solo, you're going to bounce the ball into the bucket on your own head. If you're doing this with a family member, you can either compete against each other doing that same activity, or you can stand at opposite ends of the table and you can try to bounce it into each other's bucket. Whatever works for you, it is your game. You can try both. And if you're doing it with a friend on Zoom, again, you're gonna just bounce it into your own. I stink at this one, so this definitely takes practice, and feel free to do it as many times as you need before you can get it done. So you have a minute to start out with for today's event, but feel free at home to just practice it however many times you want, or to do it in less time, whatever works for you. So I'm gonna put a minute on the clock to try to get this on my head and into the bucket. I may fail in that minute, and guess what? That's okay. It gives me something to work on this winter. So ready, minute on the clock, get set, go. see from that video, I did not get any in there. That's okay. I'm gonna work on it and practice it, as you should too at home if you didn't get it on the first try. If you got it on the first try, awesome. Now, see if you can do it in less time, or using that same amount of time, the 1 minute, see how many times you can toss it up and catch it. Sound good? I think so too. All right. For this activity, you are going to need one of your straws and your pom-pom ball. We are going to have a race using just the wind from your straw to push this across a table. Again, if you are doing this home alone and you're flying solo, you can see how long it takes. You're gonna have a minute on the clock to blow the pom-pom from one end of the table to the other end. If you're doing this with a family member, you can see who can blow it across the table the fastest. Or if you're doing it on Zoom with a friend, same idea, who can blow it the fastest across the table. If you're doing it with a friend over Zoom, I highly recommend making sure that you have a similar size table. That way no one can have an advantage of making it too short. So definitely try that out, or just do it on whatever surface you have. Again, this is just meant to be fun. This isn't super competitive, so just enjoy. So I am gonna start it on this side of the table and blow it towards the camera, but you can also go lengthwise or whatever works for you. Are you ready? Get set, go. Moving on to our fourth activity, this is going to involve the balloons. So what you're going to do is you're going to blow them up, however many you have, or if you're using a beach ball, blow that up, or if you're using a volleyball, that should be blown up for you already. But you're going to create your balloons or whatever else you're using. Once you have your balloons inflated, or your beach balls inflated, or your volleyball ready, you are going to do a game that I like to call Keep It Up in the Air. You can start off by using one item and then adding a second item in and a third item. You can start with all three items, trying to keep them in the air, whatever floats your boat, however you think you can do this. But the idea is going to be, how long can you keep the item in the air, just being able to tap it. So one item, I feel like I can go pretty far, pretty long, keep it controlled, that kind of stuff. So after a while, I might think, hey, let me add a second one in. And I'm gonna do that. And this one's a little bit harder. They definitely get away from you. And you could try this for a little while though. And then if you wanna make it super challenging, you can take the third one and try to do it. For this one, I'm gonna stand up because it's a little bit easier. And you can see how long you can keep it going. And as you can see, 3 balloons is very challenging for me, so that is what I'm gonna work on. If you're doing this with a family member at home, you can have a toss and go back and forth to see how long you both can keep everything up in the air. If you're doing this with a friend at on Zoom, you would do exactly what I just did to see who can keep them up in the air the longest. If you're also doing this at home with a family member, you can have a contest that you both start with the same amount of inflatables and you just see who can keep them up the longest. The possibilities for this one, again, are endless, so feel free to make the balloon toss however you would like it to look and just keep it going in the air. For our 5th and final Boredom Buster, we are going to be creating another stacking challenge. So we're gonna start kind of how we ended. This time you are going to use your 5 paper plates and your cups again to see how tall you can build a structure. The rule for this one is that you have to use everything though to try to build it up as tall as possible. So again, if you're doing this at home by yourself, you are going to start out by making 1 stack, break it down, take a picture of it so you can see how tall it was, or hold your arm up as a measure, whatever you gotta do to see how tall it was. You can just count the amount of cups, and then you could do it and see if you can beat your baseline record. Or if you're doing it with a family member, you can see who can stack on the tallest in the same amount of time. And again, if you're doing it with a friend, same idea as with the family member, see who can build it the tallest. I'm gonna try, you can try it along with me. You can be competing against me, that's totally fine. Have your parents let me know in the comments below how you did, or send me an email, that kind of stuff. I would love to know how you competed today. But more on that at the end. Let's get this activity underway. Ready? Go. Time is up for me. As you can see, my stack is pretty tall on the table. It is 6 levels of cups up. So that's how I'm gonna measure mine. So now if I'm gonna try to do it again, I'm gonna see if I can get it higher, or however you're measuring it at home. But this is the idea of how you stack it using the cups and the plates. If you have a different method of stacking the cups and the plates, by all means, go for it. Again, it's your challenge. You have to see how you can bust this boredom by building your tower. Thank you all so much for joining me for today's Boredom Busters. I hope you learned a few new games and tricks to play at home and beat those winter blues when you're bored or it's cold or there's snow on the ground. If you did any of these challenges at home, I would love to see what you do. Have your grown-up film you or take pictures or whatever and send them to the email address below to show me all the fun that you're having. If anybody beat anybody, I would love to see a nice healthy contest going on. If you have any questions about any of the rules, not that there's any rules for these games, you can make it up as you go, or you want to know more about what I said or how I did something, again, feel free to shoot me an email at this email address. I would love to hear from you and see what you did to bust your boredom this winter. So take care, have fun, have a happy, healthy holiday season, and we will see you soon at the library. Bye.